Happy Tuesday, everybody. It is the Prop Queen, Ariel Epstein. We are going up through the next hour, giving you the best bets along the across the NBA and the NHL. I'm realizing because I pre-recorded the show yesterday that a lot of my settings are off, so please bear with me. I have to add for YouTube because there's like some new... Oh, damn it. I shouldn't be doing this right now, but YouTube doesn't have a border. You guys don't really care, but I should have a border around my YouTube videos, and now it's not coming up. So, oh, there it is. Hold on 1 second. Okay, I think I did it. Oh, no. Okay, I think I did it. Anyway, producer problems. Welcome to the show. We've got so many things to talk about today. We've got Troy Perlowitz coming on to talk some NHL. You guys know that I don't really do hockey. So Troy is going to join the show and break down all that we need to know in the world of hockey. His handle, I'm trying to find a tweet. Yep, Troy_Pearl at 5:15 p.m. Eastern time, talking NHL props. Okay, now that all that's done, I feel like I haven't gone live from my apartment in forever. There's a weird shadow. Why is there a weird shadow? I don't know. I have not gone live from here, I feel like, in forever. Granted, I did for last call on Sunday, but not for my own Prop Queen pod. So after Aruba, after Maryland, and I was feeling a little under the weather after Maryland because I was out in the freezing cold. Anyway, no one cares. I did have a lot of people talking to me on social media today and yesterday because I posted a video about the New York Mets acquiring reliever Devin Williams. We'll get to the Devin Williams stuff. We've got some injury updates for Thursday in the NFL. We've got some weird stories from the weekend and how bad yesterday's game was between the Giants and the Patriots. The Giants, one of those teams that have been great at covering spreads, but they can't get the job done. And last night, they certainly did not cover a spread against those New England Patriots who go into their bye week on a 10-game win streak. Are we buying the Pats? No, I'm not buying the Pats. I know that they've had the easiest schedule in like NFL history. So let's see what the Pats could do against a good team, which is really hard to find these days in the NFL because there aren't many of those. Saw some crazy things. Oh, I forgot to upload this. So this is the current NFL playoff structure. Oh, now see, I have to remove the banner. Oh, goodness. How do I do this? I don't want that two-shot. Ugh. No. Okay, now I have to get rid of the banner. Anyway. Sorry, producer problems again. I agree. The Pats haven't paid anybody. So this is what the current playoff picture looks like in the NFL after week 13. The Pats and the Bears have the 1 seed. No. And I'll tell you how much the book isn't buying it. If you go to the FanDuel Sportsbook and you go to the NFL section and you look up the conferences, they're buying the Pats at plus 420 because the AFC is very wide open. But in the NFC, they're not really buying the Bears. Clearly, they adjusted a little bit. The Bears were 13-1 a couple of days ago, and now they're plus 1120. The Bears were the 7th best odds to win the NFC, and now they're 5th. So they're climbing up the ladder, but they're still not past 10-1. The Rams are at plus 260, the Seahawks plus 470, Packers 5-1, Eagles 5-1, and then there's the huge drop-off to the Bears at plus 1120. Weird number, by the way. If you looked at the wild card round, my Ravens get the Chargers, but the Chargers now are going to be without their quarterback, Justin Herbert, who just got surgery on his hand. But it would be cool to see the Harbaugh brothers go head-to-head in the wild card, except the Ravens do terrible against the Chargers, but that's besides the point. I don't foresee, unfortunately, the Chargers holding on to that. The Broncos, I do buy the Broncos. They've got a really good pass rush. Bo Nix is my question mark, but their defense is good, and defense can get you at least somewhat into the playoffs. The Buffalo Bills, you can never sleep on them. The Jacksonville Jaguars, I liked their over on their win total, and I actually like them to win the division this year. I was high on Trevor Lawrence because if Trevor Lawrence had another terrible outing, then, I mean, like, if he had another bad year, you would have to be thinking, are they going to make a change at quarterback in Jacksonville? But because this year, just looking at the standings in the AFC South, the Jags are at 8-4 and the Colts are at 8-4. And then you've got Daniel Jones, the quarterback of the Colts, playing with the broken fibula, like Uncle Ted had said. a lot could change in the next few weeks in the NFL. We are currently in week 14, so we've got a 4 more weeks to go. The AFC is going to be a wide open race, but it wouldn't surprise me if the New England Patriots are like the Baltimore Orioles a couple years ago, who win a 1 seed, have to play a legit contender who has playoff experience and loses. Because who was I listening to? I was listening to some kind of sports talk radio. They were talking about how the Pats and the Bears are 2 teams, and obviously the Pats fans have playoff experience, but these players don't. Not Drake May, their quarterback. So, sorry, I just got a weird text. So, if you got the Patriots going up against, let's say, the Ravens, the Bills, the Chiefs, if the Chiefs get in, like, you've got a really, really tough road ahead for teams with playoff experience. And the Bears, the same thing. The Rams I still like, despite getting upset by Carolina. I'm not sleeping on the Packers. Their defense is still good enough to win games. The Eagles obviously have the experience, but it's very hard to go back to back. Baker Mayfield, he's banged up. That whole team's banged up. And I don't trust Sam Darnold and the Seahawks. But I do like their head coach and McDonald because their defense is really good. But this is the current playoff picture. And this is a huge steal because Thursday Night Football we've got coming up in a couple of days. And it should be a really good game with the Cowboys at the Lions. Lions laying 3 at home, total 54.5. But Amon-Ra St. Brown might not play. This was coming out saying that he's not sure, if he's being honest, still up in the air, trying to be out there for the guys, for my teammates, but I couldn't answer that question right now. He went down on Thanksgiving with an injury. And if you were to know about what Dr. David Chow has said, you need 3 people to sign off on you to play. It's the GM, the head coach, and the agent. So he needs all 3 to sign off on him, which if you're trying to make a playoff push, obviously, you might not play Amon-Ra St. Brown, even though he's had all this time off, but maybe give him another week. It's a short week on a Thursday against the Cowboys. Really tough loss if the Lions do lose one of their best deep threats and wide receivers. And one more thing that was a very, very weird storyline before I dive into Devin Williams. The Abdul Carter situation. So they said that he was suspended for tardiness. Like, he didn't play the first quarter yesterday because of tardiness. But do we buy that, or do we buy the whole he was watching porn during meetings? I don't know. It's weird. Joe Schoen said Abdul Carter's smart, understands the magnitude of his actions, understands what it means to be a pro. These kids are 21 years old. They're thrust into the spotlight in New York City. It's not always going to be perfect. I agree that these kids are young and they're going to make stupid decisions. But when you are getting paid millions upon millions of dollars and you are one of the best defensive weapons your team has, and you are up for Rookie of the Year, stop effing up. I know that money shouldn't deem everything, but you're being paid millions as a first-round pick to get out there on the field once a week. Once a week. I know you practice and you're in meetings, but you get paid to be on the field once a week to do your job. And you effed up. Whether you're late, whether you're watching porn at meetings is weird. Like, do it on your own time, bro. You're a multimillionaire for a reason. Show up to your job. And that's the problem we have today because these athletes are superstars. And they are like, oh, but they're young, they're kids. Most 21-year-olds graduate college and have to go to New York City for a job too, Joe Schoen. Most people go to work at 21, 22 years old in New York City, and most people don't make millions of dollars. And most people, not all, I'm sure there are some, but most people don't sit at their office during a meeting and watch porn. Oh, boy. Okay, that was just such a weird story. But anyway, I want to find the odds real quick before I get into Devin Williams. I just have to go to BetMGM and go to the New Jersey sports book because I'll never get over the fact we can't vote MVP or Rookie of the Year or any of that in New York because it's stupid. Football awards. I just want to see the odds right now for Rookie of the Year. It's MVP, Drake May, -120. I would give it to Matt Stafford, but that's besides the point. Defensive Player of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Defensive Rookie of the Year. Abdul Carter is at 20-1. Carson Schweizenberger Schweisinger is at -750. Jalen Walker at 9-1. Then Abdul Carter at 20-1 because he's on a terrible team. But shouldn't be doing that. Last thing before we get to hockey. So anybody who likes hockey props, make sure to get your questions ready. If you have any questions on the hockey world today, write in the chat because we'll get those questions answered by NHL.com's Troy Perlowitz. But first, I want to get to this Major League Baseball story because I posted about this on my social media pages last night. And on X, it was getting a lot of pushback. And a little bit on Instagram, over on my socials. Devin Williams, the reliever, signed a 3-year deal with the New York Mets. My really good friend Nick Terrell, who works for the Yankees, posted this list yesterday. I was very appreciative of him posting this. The former Yankees that Steve Cohen, the owner of the Mets, has signed as free agents that he's taken, like literally, former Yankees. Devin Williams now adds the list to Juan Soto, Frankie Montas, Luis Severino, Dylan Betances, Harrison Bader, Adam Ottavino, Gary Sanchez, David Robertson, Robinson Cano, Cameron Maven, Nick Burdi, Tim LaCastro, Brandon Drury, Steven Tarpley, Mason Williams, Jason Shreve, Eduardo Nunez, Todd Frazier, Luis Torrens, and Ben Gamel, not to mention the managers in Buck Showalter and Carlos Mendoza. Those are the players that went over to the New York Mets after the Yankees. So here's the thing that I said on social and what I'm going to say again. First of all, Devin Williams is no Mason Miller. Devin Williams was terrible in the clutch. He got a little better down the stretch of the season, but he was not reliable in the ninth. He was not reliable with runners on. He might have had decent stats that he padded when he came in the 6th, 7th innings of games with no runners on base. But he cannot come in with runners on. The Mets needed improvement to their bullpen. They blew a ton of leads last year. And the Mets go for Devin Williams. When Brewers fans said to me, ha ha ha, good luck, I said, oh no, I really the Yankees needed to bolster their bullpen too. I should have listened to the Brewers fans. So now, Mets fans, here's what you should do. Don't put him on with runners on base. But if you're a Mets fan, and you're watching what Steve Cohen's doing as the owner of this team, going after players that played for the New York Yankees last year, and you continue to get the Yankees, like I said online, hand-me-downs. Come on. Be better. If you don't want to be the number 2 team in New York, then go and be original. Stop copycatting. And you're taking players that we literally don't care about. Like the Yankees said, bye, take him. Aside from Juan Soto. Juan Soto's the only player that the Yankees were like, that sucked. But guess what? The Yankees were better for it because the Mets got Juan Soto and the Yankees went further in the season than the Mets did because they made the playoffs. The Mets didn't make the playoffs because guess what? They still have no pitching. You still need a starting pitcher. And the Mets don't have starting pitching. There's rumors about Framber Valdez. There's rumors about, I think there was one more rumor about someone else. There's still no starting pitching in the New York Mets system. So I don't care that you took Devin Williams. I care actually from an actual nice bipartisan standpoint. People are like, oh, you're a Yankees fan. Cry harder. I literally don't care. I'm saying it as someone who would have been, if you're a Mets fan, I would care. This is ridiculous. Look at this freaking list. This list is insane. Steve Cohen. All of this is Steve Cohen. So stupid. I don't know. Anyway, I just feel bad. Coming on the show now, we're going to talk some NHL props. We've got some underdogs as well. And you guys know I know absolutely nothing about hockey. So I'm going to get updates from NHL.com's Troy Perlowitz. Hi.
How you doing? Nate, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Before we get into the props for tonight, what are some big headlines in the hockey world that we could be watching out for tonight?
So big deal. We're just past the quarter point of the season. We're actually probably closer to a third of the way through the regular season. I feel like I talk about this a lot when I'm on your show. The young guns in the league are really exciting. We saw it last night with Macklin Celebrini and Will Smith of the San Jose Sharks. They're electric. We see a little breakout from Connor Bedard. These are number 1 picks in recent history who are coming into the league, and they're still babies. It's funny. They're 20 and 19 years old respectively, and they're top 5 in points. And it feels like there's 3 generations in the NHL right now. There's Sidney Crosby and Alex Ovechkin who are still making headlines, and they're still doing great. There's that Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon, who are doing great, and they're entering their prime years at 30 years old, and they're doing great. And then these young pups are coming in and doing great also. So the league is very healthy to have young stars, middle-aged stars, and older stars who are all doing well. I guess the overarching storyline in the league right now is anyone going to touch the Colorado Avalanche? They've only lost one game in regulation at this point in the season, which is just crazy. They're on a 13 game point streak entering tonight, and they play tonight. They'll be featured in my picks later to give you a little tease. And it's, you look under the hood at this point of the year and see how well the Colorado Avalanche are. The record's great, but you're trying to think, well, okay, is this a team that's built for the postseason? And they really are. They don't have any weaknesses. They're great offensively. They're first in goals. They're great defensively. They're first in goals against. So they're primed up without any injuries. They're going to cruise into the postseason, and then from there, it's going to be who could take them down.
Let's talk about those Colorado Avalanche, because you mentioned that you've got something in this game, and Colorado, hefty $3 favorite tonight. They're minus 345 against Vancouver. They're at home in Colorado. 6.5 is the total. What prop do you like?
So I'm taking Gabriel Landeskog, the captain of the team. I'm like you. I think we've talked about this before, but I'm not a huge first goal scorer, and I think that's kind of a sucker bet. But if you're looking for one tonight, 13-1 odds is really good for Gabe Landeskog. He's got 5 goals in his last 9 games. He didn't score until his 17th game of the year, so he's kind of picking it up. Remember, this is a guy who, because of knee injuries, he didn't play a game for three straight years, almost 3 years. So he's come back. You could see analytically from the start of the year, you could see he wasn't skating as fast as he usually is. He wasn't shooting as fast as he has been, but 5 of his 6 hardest shot attempts have been in the last month. All 4 of his 20-mile-per-hour speed bursts have been this month. So he's a player who looks like he's rounding into form. He's found chemistry on this second line with Brock Nelson, who's a former New York Islander who's come in, was traded to the Avalanche at the trade deadline last year and re-signed this offseason. They look like they have solid chemistry. He's been promoted to the top power play. And, as we mentioned, Colorado scores goals in waves against a Vancouver team they've allowed the first goal in 15 of their 26 games this year. It's a kind of a trend that if you're going to take a hunch on a first goal scorer, might as well be the captain of the Colorado Avalanche in Gabe Landeskog.
There's a completely opposite game tonight. There's the 2 worst teams in the Atlantic of the Eastern Conference, Florida Panthers, Toronto Maple Leafs. This one has, just looking at the spread, Florida minus 164, Toronto plus 136, again, a 6.5 total. How come you like the 2 worst teams in this division?
So this game, first of all, these teams played each other in the playoffs last year. It was a memorable 7-game series, and it's the first time they're going to play each other during the regular season. So it's an exciting matchup to just look at as a fan. It's weird to see Florida. Remember, they're back-to-back Stanley Cup champions, and they've been to the Stanley Cup final in 3 straight years. It's weird to see Florida at the bottom of the Eastern Conference standings. But then you remember they've really been hit by the injury bug. Alexander Barkov before the year tore a knee ligament, so he's not going to play. Matthew Tkachuk is on the mend, and he's coming back, and he should be back fairly soon, but he hasn't played a game this year. They've had a couple of other key injuries in other spots. So it's weird to see Florida down low. I think that's a team you're going to look for them in the second half of the year to really propel themselves back into the playoff hunt. I'm still not selling my stock on Florida. I think they're a good team. They just have gotten off to a slow start. They've played a lot of hockey, so it's a little rough. With Toronto, man, it's just been a weird year. Offensively, I think they've been great. The goaltending that they got last year, they haven't really gotten yet. They've battled some injuries. Joseph Woll missed this first part of the year with a leave of absence. Anthony Stolarz was just okay. Then he got hurt. Joseph Woll is back. So it's a little bit of a weird situation in net. They haven't really gotten solid goaltending. But for their game against Florida, I really like Matthew Nyes. Austin Matthews missed a couple of games, who's a frequent line mate of Matthew Nyes. And he's back now. The 2 of them they factored on the same goal 3 times in the last 2 games. I kind of like that trend. Matthew Nyes, he set career highs in goals last season. He did not have a point in the last 4 games of that playoff series last year. So I think he comes out hungry, wanting to score goals. And again, that tandem with Austin Matthews is one to watch. I think they get off the schneid tonight and Matthew Nye scores a goal.
Yeah, especially on that line with Austin Matthews, everyone probably publicly on him and look for somebody who might not be Austin Matthews. We've got this game between Ottawa and Montreal. Close game because it's the 3 and the 4 in the division. Montreal -102, Ottawa -118. They're in Montreal tonight. What you got?
Yeah, basically even money, as you said. I kind of like Slavkovsky. Juraj Slavkovsky, another top overall pick. To go back a trend we were talking about before. He got off to a hot start, then slowed down a little bit. He's been paired on the same line with Ivan Demidov, who's a Calder Trophy candidate as Rookie of the Year in the league. He's second in the league in points amongst rookies, and he's a leader amongst rookies in assists. They're playing on the same line together. They both have 4 points in the last 4 games. It's a really good trend. Ottawa and Montreal are very similar teams. I think they're going to come down to the wire in terms of battling it out in that Atlantic division to see who goes to the playoffs. I think I picked Montreal at the start of the year. I like Ottawa as this season has played out, but Slavkovsky is a player who is very strong. He gets to the middle of the ice. He's already has 6 goals from that high danger area of the ice, which is basically the slot area and in. If he gets there, he's a big body. He's tough to move, and I like him to get at least 1 point tonight.
So the Tampa Bay Lightning, Nikita Kucherov is their points leader. Yet you're going under 2.5 shots on goal plus money, so plus 125 is nice. And in this matchup tonight, they're facing the New York Islanders. How come we're fading the points leader of the Lightning?
So I'm going a little bit of a hunch here. First of all, the New York Islanders they made a coaching change last year in the middle of the year. They hired Patrick Waugh. Patrick Waugh came in and he really stressed defense and goaltending, obviously as a Hall of Fame goaltender himself. They don't allow a lot of shot attempts or shots on goal. And in the last 5 games, they've allowed the second fewest shots on goal of any team. So I like that trend. With Kucherov, the other reason I kind of am fading the 2.5 shot prop is he's playing on the same line as Brandon Hagel. Brandon Hagel was the number 1 star in the league this past week. He's getting all the scoring chances, and he's the one who's shooting. He's the high shooter on that team, and specifically on that line. So if Tampa Bay is going to score, they might score. They might score a lot of goals. They're a really good team. They're one of my favorite teams to watch in the electrifying offense. I think it's Hagel is the guy who gets most of the shots and most of the scoring chances. And Kucherov, he has 80 assists in 3 straight years. He's more of a playmaker himself. So I kind of like him to go under 2.5 shots on goal tonight. He might have some points. He might have some assists to go with him, but I don't see him getting more than, the Islanders are pretty good defensively, and I think they take away his ability to shoot the puck.
Another New York team good defensively, the New York Rangers, who are top 5 in goals allowed, yet they're up against a Dallas Stars team tonight that's top 5 in goals scored. So it's going to be a really fun matchup, seeing great offense versus improved defense by the New York Rangers. Yet you're going with Casey DeSmith under his 23.5 saves. So completely opposite of what I was just talking about, but I'm just intrigued by the Rangers matchup. How come you're going on the Dallas Stars side of things? Is this that Rangers trend that they can't score?
Exactly right. Intriguing matchup. Totally understand it. So Jake Ottinger is the normal starting goaltender for the Dallas Stars. He showed up to morning skate today, not feeling well. So they're going with their backup, Casey DeSmith. I always, when I was a player too, not much of a great player, but whenever I had my backup goalie in net, I played a little bit more defensively and cared a little bit more on the defensive side of the puck. I have a feeling that's exactly what pros do. And they know that they have to be, they have to block shots. They have to back check. They have to do the little detailed things to make sure that they're not allowing a lot of shots. So the Rangers too, first game without Adam Fox. Adam Fox got injured in the Rangers last game. He's going to miss some time. I know he plays defense, but he's a big part of their offense and a big part of their power play. So I like the under with Casey DeSmith. The Rangers have only averaged about 17 shots per game at home over the last 5 games.
Why? Why? I thought we were going to fix this after the first couple of weeks.
That's pretty alarming. That's a very alarming trend. I think their shot attempts have been normal. They're just not able to get the shots on goal. I think teams know how to play defensively against them. there's something going on home ice clearly at Madison Square Garden with the Rangers. They're allergic to scoring, allergic to shooting. It's not a great trend, and as long as that continues, I like Casey Smith. He might do really well in terms of his save percentage tonight, but I just don't see him getting enough shots to get to that 23.5 number. So I'm taking the under.
My favorite part of going to Ranger games is singing the goal chant. It is the best scoring chant in all of sports. So until this trend ends, I'm not buying tickets, because if I can't scream goal, I'm going to be pissed.
I totally agree. As one who grew up going to the Garden too and chanting a lot of Rangers goal songs, it's a very weird. Something's going on. The Rangers came into this year. They didn't have a very talented top six, and which is what the top six forward lines is really what teams look at and see how strong they are. The Rangers didn't have a strong depth position, and they've only just gotten hurt. I really think the Adam Fox injury couldn't have come at a worse time for the Rangers. They really need to score, and Adam Fox is a huge part of that, especially on that power play. The Rangers, they lined up in a all 5 forward power play, which is an interesting thing to watch tonight. All 5 forwards on the ice at the same time. Usually there's a high risk, high reward, right? You could score a lot of goals with 5 forwards, but who's playing defense? I don't know. So the Rangers are it's a tough spot for them against the Dallas Stars team that is coming in and rolling.
And if anyone has any questions, write them in the chat. We've got King Tay asking any money lines you like tonight.
So we talked about that underdog trend. One of my favorite teams to watch over the last month has been the Minnesota Wild, and they're taking on the Edmonton Oilers tonight, plus money. Again, I'll go back to the same thing I said about Florida with Edmonton. Played a lot of hockey over the last 3 games. They've been to the Stanley Cup final 2 straight years. Played a lot of hockey. Something seems to be wrong in their net too with their goaltenders. Stuart Skinner and Calvin Pickard are not getting it done so far. They haven't played a lot of games with their full lineup, so I'm not going to sell all my stock yet on them. I want to see them. They just got Zach Hyman back. They just got Ryan Nugent-Hopkins back. Of course, they have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, 2 of the top 5 players in the league. Let's give them some time to see what they could do. They're coming off of a 4-0 shutout over the weekend against the Seattle Kraken. But the Minnesota Wild, they've only lost once in regulation since the start of November. They have one of the best goaltending tandems in the league with Jesper Wallstedt, who has a great nickname, the Great Wall of St. Paul, which is awesome. And he's going to play tonight in goal for Minnesota. They have a really good offense too. So that's an intriguing matchup. It's a pretty big number when I looked at it this morning, but they're someone I like tonight if you're looking for underdogs.
The Washington Capitals go to the West Coast. They're facing off with the Kings. On FanDuel, the Capitals are minus 102, Kings minus 118. Capitals, they're sitting at 15-9 on the season, 3rd place at the Metropolitan behind Carolina and the Devils. How much is there a chance for this small upset tonight over the Kings?
Totally. That caught my eye too this morning. It was a little weird to me that they were plus money. Washington is a team that Jacob Chikrin is a defenseman on the Washington Capitals, who's one of the best under the radar stars in the NHL. He's really good, has a really powerful shot. He, as a defenseman, doesn't get enough credit for how much he sneaks up into the rush and joins the offense and can score. Washington's be able to score a lot of goals, and it hasn't really been Ovechkin, who's gotten off to kind of a slow start. He's 40 years old, so I guess that's somewhat to be expected. But the storyline with Washington is they probably have a Vezina Trophy candidate, if not favorite, in Logan Thompson in net. This is actually a really good goalie matchup. The LA Kings have a great goalie themselves in Darcy Kemper, but Logan Thompson's been playing great hockey. He'll keep them in every game. And with Washington, they just have to score enough to the Kings they struggle to score sometimes. You'll see them only average about 2.5 goals a game so far this year. That's not a Stanley Cup playoff team caliber number. So I definitely think there's a chance that Washington comes out of there with a win.
The Anaheim Ducks. Someone just wrote it in the chat. How about them Ducks? Hold on, let me give a shout out to whoever. Nope. Here, Easy Money. Easy Money said, how about those Ducks? So I was trying to look at the lines. So right now, of course, they're the division leaders. They're sitting at 16-9 on the year, 9-3 at home, which is great. They're struggling a little bit more on the road. But the Pacific Division still has Vegas at plus 100, Kings at plus 320, Edmonton plus 380. Anaheim's a huge drop off at plus 750. So how come we're not buying in on Anaheim?
So I love the Ducks. It's one of my favorite storylines of the year so far. When Anaheim, everyone grew up. Any hockey fan who's in my age bracket knows the Mighty Ducks movie. They're just a really cool storyline, really cool team. They have a bunch of young stars too. Cutter Gauthier is, I think he's up to 14 goals. Leo Carlson was top 10 in scoring last time I checked. That's a really fun team. The reason that no one's buying into them, they still go up a lot of shots on net. They've also hit an injury bug in goal. Lucas Dostal, who was the starting goaltender to start the year, he's going to miss a couple of weeks with injury. Ville Husos filled in for him, and he got hurt. Peter Mrazek has now filled in for him, and he actually left the game early last game they played. So the Ducks it's a hard team to trust when they have a lot of goaltending injuries and give up a lot of shots as it is. They're going to score enough, I think, to stay in it, but can they keep the puck out of the net? That'll be the question for the Ducks. That's a really interesting division because, as you said, we thought Vegas and Edmonton and even LA would come in and kind of own that Pacific division. And it's been the Ducks who have emerged early. It's a long season. I hope the Ducks stay in it because they're fun. It's great for the league if they stay in it. They just have to find a way to keep the puck out of their net and keep teams from shooting a lot on them.
Jay Main said, is Nathan in tonight and do you like the over?
I assume he means McKinnon.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, McKinnon at home is. I looked at the number for McKinnon to have a point at home tonight. I think he was minus 650. It's just almost a guarantee that Nathan McKinnon gets a point on home ice. It's just hard to find any value in that. Whenever Colorado's playing, if you like the over and you're going to bet them, you're banking on Colorado scoring all those goals because they keep the puck out of the net pretty well too. Playing against a Vancouver Canucks team who doesn't score a lot of goals, they don't generate a ton of offense. They have their own injury bug too. It's one of the greatest matchups at that game specifically. When you look at Quinn Hughes on Vancouver and Cale Makar on the Colorado Avalanche, it's two of the best defensemen in the league. It's Canada and the U.S. It's very intriguing. Any game that Colorado plays, though, I think I favor the over. And
Joe asks, what about the Vegas Golden Knights game with their goalie return from farm system?
Yeah, it's tough. Carter Hart's going to come in for the Vegas. It's a really good team. Carter Hart hasn't played a game in 2 years, so I have no idea what to expect from him. But Vegas is usually one of the best teams, and they have been this year at not surrendering a lot of high-quality chances for their opponent. Bruce Cassidy plays a very structured defense that doesn't allow a lot of odd man rushes. They don't allow a lot of possession time in the offensive zone. It's really friendly for their goalie, so it could be an opportunity for Carter Hart to come in and stabilize that position for Vegas.
And then we have one more question from Jamie before I let you go. He said, what about Raymond for a point from Detroit?
Yeah, we looked at Detroit today specifically. If you go to nhl.com/edge, we wrote a story on some sneaky playoff contenders, and we looked at Detroit's numbers. The record isn't something that makes you excited yet, but if you look under the hood at Detroit, they have some intriguing numbers. They get a lot of shots from inside of the dots, so it's an offense that could score a lot more. If you look underlying that, they could jump up in goals sooner. They're also a top-heavy team. Lucas Raymond plays a lot with Alex DeBrincat on that first line, and that's a powerful duo. I think they have 3 players with 25 points already. So Detroit's a top-heavy team. I wouldn't look outside of their top 6 if you're looking at player props, but Lucas Raymond's an intriguing option. Against a Boston team that doesn't have David Pastrnak tonight, I look for Detroit to score some goals, and Lucas Raymond should definitely be involved.
Troy Perlowitz, you're the absolute best as always for saving my ass when it comes to NHL betting and props because I know nothing. Content producer at NHL, NHL.com, NHL Fantasy, Edge Stats. Make sure to check Troy_Pearl, Perl, on social media. Thank you, Troy, as always. I will see you again soon.
Thanks so much for having me on. Anytime you need me, I'm here.
You're the best. He's great. Saves me every time. I'm glad that you guys were able to get some questions in. I'm glad that we were able to answer some NHL because now we are diving right in to the NBA. So let's get to some propaganda. The most bet on props over at BetMGM. These are the most bet on player props. So Ace Bailey under 1.5 threes. Jalen Johnson under 22.5 points. Norman Powell over 20.5 points. Ivica Zubats over 11.5 rebounds. And Jalen Tyson over 1.5 threes. So on this 6-game slate in the NBA, if you like any of those, was that even right? I don't even think those teams are playing today. That's the wrong day. So sorry, guys. That's the wrong day. NBA. Sorry, that is not today. They just sent me props for the wrong day. Great. Okay. So anyway, now that we know that that was that yesterday? Oh, okay. Scratch that. That was very weird. No, they just sent the email out. So it was yesterday. So no, the email just came in to me an hour ago. So I just snapshotted it while Troy was talking and didn't even look at what it was. And that was the wrong day. So we're going to talk about the right day today. This is right because these are my props. Sorry, BetMGM, didn't mean to call you out there, but those were wrong. Today's my favorite props in the NBA. Let me just tweet this out real quick. Sean Michael, welcome back. Hope you're feeling better. Prop queen edges of the day in the NBA right now. Oh, using props.cash. Props.cash was so helpful today because with all the injuries in the NBA, it is so hard to figure out sometimes just how to take advantage of players with certain injuries and players out, etc. So I'm going to show you why props.cash was so useful. And again, you can see it on the bottom screen here. You could use promo code PropQueen and you get 50% off your first month at props.cash. You could get all of these graphs yourself. So let's start with VJ Edgecombe tonight, who is on the Philadelphia 76ers. And I like his over 21.5 PRA. These are their numbers for Edgecombe without Kelly Oubre Jr. and without Joel Embiid on the floor. He's had at least 25 points, rebounds, and assists in all 3 of those games. And tonight, they're getting an absolutely horrific Washington Wizards team. The Wizards are bottom 10 in points and rebounds allowed. So Edgecombe averaging 23 points, rebounds, and assists in 4 games without Oubre Jr. He's gone over his PRA, as you saw, with all 3 of those games of Oubre and Joel Embiid out. The Wizards, they allow the most points per game, the most rebounds per game, the second most assists per game, and Washington's also on the second leg of a back-to-back. So I'm going to go with the over on VJ Edgecombe over 21.5 PRA. Now, another player that stood out to me, but you've got to be careful because of the minutes. Andre Drummond over 10.5 rebounds at even money. But his minutes have been 20 minutes. So I am a little weary of it, but he is the only center I could rely on Philadelphia. Joel Embiid's out. Drummond was participating in shoot-around this morning. In games without Joel Embiid this season, Drummond's cashed the over in 6 of 7 home games. I'll show you the props.cash graph on Andre Drummond. So 6 of 7 games at home without Joel Embiid on the floor, he has gone over 10.5 rebounds. Looking at the last 5-6 games, or the last 2 weeks really, against Washington, Kristaps Porzingis went over his rebounds. Nikola Vucevic went over his rebounds. Rudy Gobert went over his rebounds. So all of these veterans went over. Okay, but he was at shoot-around this morning. And again, I said, be careful of his minutes. Be careful. He's still day-to-day, but he participated in shoot-around this morning. So I'm just telling you that I would be a little weary of it because of the minutes. But they are going up against the Wizards. So it's the Wizards, the most rebounds per game allowed, and veteran centers have been going over their rebound prop. Denny Avdija under his 6.5 assists also stood out. So I'm going to show you again the props.cash graph of Denny Avdija. It's a lot of red. So this is Avdija against Toronto in his career. So against Toronto in his career, Avdija's hit the under in all 6 games, averaging just under 5 assists per game. No Drew Holiday has led to more assists for Avdija for sure, but Toronto's defense is top 5 in points allowed, 9th best in assists allowed. 60% of forwards have gone under their assist prop against Toronto this season. The front court, Jakob Podol, Scotty Barnes, could be tougher for Avdija to find those passing lanes tonight. So I would go with the under on 6.5 assists. My sources tell me Ariel has a big announcement coming. What is that? I don't know. I don't know what that big announcement is. Jaylen Brown under 27.5 points. This was another trend that stood out. If you like backing trends, then this is what you have to be looking at. I think this is the right one. The only concern, again, that I have is that the Knicks and the Celtics already played this season, and this already hit to the under, but we're going to show the trend anyway. This is Jaylen Brown against the New York Knicks, and it's still this much red without Jason Tatum. Jaylen Brown has struggled against the Knicks, or the Knicks are just really good against him. 15 of 16 games have cashed the under, hitting 27.5 points on average against, 19 points on average against the Knicks. He's gone under 27.5 points in 15 of 16. In all 3 games that the Celtics have played the Knicks without Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown still went under with 26, 20, and 23 points. The Knicks have allowed the 5th least points per game to their opponents. Brown's numbers at home are split against top 10 defenses. He put up 33 against Detroit, 12 against Houston. So with Cat, Mitchell Robinson, all those guys underneath, maybe it's a little tougher for Jaylen Brown to drive down the lane. 27.5 is a lot of points to be betting over on for a player that hit it 1 time in his last 16 games against them. So I would just be very wary of Jaylen Brown tonight. Miles McBride is another player that has struggled in this matchup against the Celtics. Again, my only concern is that it hit the last time that these two played, like the under hit. But against Boston, I know that you're going to say, oh, but his minutes are blah, blah, blah. I've done it so that that his minutes have been where they're like we've been at recently. So in the 6 games where Miles McBride has played, what was it? How many minutes did I put in there? 25 minutes at least. So if he played at least 25 minutes, Miles McBride is averaging 10.5 points per game against Boston. McBride's hit the over 12.5 points in 3 straight games. So why is this prop dropping from 13.5 to 12.5? The Celtics allowed the 2nd least points per game to their opponents this year. 60% of shooting guards in the last 10 games have gone under their points prop against Boston. McBride hasn't even faced a top 10 defense on the road this year. So you'd have to think that the Knicks are going to send Jalen Brunson out there, and it takes away from Miles McBride. So Miles McBride under points tonight also stood out. Anthony Edwards, if you're not afraid of a big spread, Anthony Edwards over points plus rebounds. I was pretty shocked to see how much Anthony Edwards has been actually rebounding on the road this year. His rebounds have gone up significantly on the road. So Ant-Man's averaging 38 points plus rebounds on the road. He's gone over this number in 6 of 8 road games. He is averaging 2 more rebounds per game on the road. Against bottom 10 defenses, Anthony Edwards averaging 34 points, 5 boards, and the Pelicans have allowed the 5th most points and 10th most rebounds per game this season. So as long as you feel that Ant-Man stays in the game, that kind of works out. Julius Randle over his threes. This one's not so much about betting straight up, but you can put it in like a prize picks lineup if you want. It's a little too juiced at minus 150, and it's a 3-point prop. But Julius Randle, it's a bunch of green there. The Pelicans have allowed the most threes per game this year. So they are the worst perimeter defense in the league. The position to bank the most threes against the Pelicans this year, power forwards. They've hit 65% of their 3-pointers to the over. And Randall's shooting better from outside on the road this season. He's averaging 2 threes a game. Randall's gone over in 6 of 10 road games this year. He actually went over 1.5 threes in his last 2 games against the Pelicans. So you could look to a Julius Randle over threes prop as well. Devin Vassell. Ooh, this is my favorite 3-point prop of the night. If you want a 3-point prop, do I have a graph on this? I don't think I have a graph on it. But Devin Vassell over 2.5 3-pointers made. Vassell is the leading 3-point shooter of the Spurs. He cashed the over in 6 of 10 home games this year. Harrison Barnes and De'Aaron Fox in the last time, because these two teams, Grizzlies and Spurs, played on November 18th. And I always say what didn't happen in game one, especially within the last couple of weeks of each other, what didn't happen in game one, I like to say happens in game two. And Vassell did not go over 2.5 threes in game one. Barnes and De'Aaron Fox did. Against the Memphis defense, allowing the 7th most 3-pointers per game, I'll take my shot for the Spurs leading 3-point shooter in Devin Vassell. And then a couple of other things to make note of for the Warriors Thunder late game tonight. Let me just get those graphs up. Not video. Image. Pods. So everyone's going to talk about pods because Steph Curry's still out, and that pods is the go-to when Steph's out, which is true. Look at all the green here without Steph this year. However, Pods has played 2 games against OKC without Steph, and he's only put up 13 and 12. So when you're up against the best defense in the entire NBA, I'm probably staying away from a points prop tonight. What I will do is Draymond Green over rebounds plus assists. This has been my favorite trend for Draymond since the beginning of time. Since rebounds plus assists props came out about 6 years ago, I've been betting Draymond overs rebounds plus assists until Jimmy Butler ruined it. Jimmy Butler ruined my rebounds plus assist prop for Draymond, except this year at home at Golden State. This year, even with Jimmy Butler, look at that. At the top, you see it at the props.cash at the top. With Jimmy Butler at home, this has still cashed in all but one game. So 10.5 rebounds plus assists, Draymond Green. I'm going with the over rebounds plus assists. I'm going back to my trend. I hope it doesn't lose. He should be playing. He's probable tonight. Jimmy Butler was questionable this morning. It looks like he might play tonight. I also was waiting on, I know you were talking about Edey here, 10 rebounds. I was looking at Edey's unders, but again, those two just played, and his unders hit the last game, not rebounds. I was looking at Edey under points. I was looking at Jaren Jackson Jr. unders as well. Jaren Jackson Jr. put up 18 the last game, and now they're up against a team that's been really good against bigs, power forward centers. They've been going under their props this year. But good luck on Draymond, no Steph. That's okay. It's good. Wait, this is good, by the way, because Jimmy Butler has to put up points with no Steph. So Draymond's going to take on the more defensive role. So I'm okay with it. But yeah, I was talking about Edey. Sorry. Edey under points was something I was looking at because centers have actually put up the least amount of points this year. Let me just get the stats. So I definitely had, hold on. I know I X'd out now, of course, of my notes, but I had some stats on Edey that I thought were interesting, and I wanted to bet the under, but again, his unders cashed in the last game for points. I still have a little bit of cough. Zach Edey under 26.5 points. He's coming off a 32-point performance against Sacramento. He's never shot well in San Antonio. He has 6-4 and 8 points. He only faced one top 10 defense this year, and that was the Spurs, with 8 points and 11 rebounds. Hold on one second. I didn't want to cough in your ear. So he had 11 rebounds last game, but then went under his points prop last game. So I can't do it again. I can't do the same thing. Maybe Jaren Jackson, but again, he went under his points prop and rebounds last time too. Even though he had an 18-point performance, it was still under his points prop. So Edey under points would be the way I would lean today. Oh, gosh. I know. It's a hard one. I stayed away from it just because I couldn't decide because both unders cashed in the last game. But I can't imagine that both go over. So if I had to take a lean, I'd probably say Edey goes under because he just had a big game last game. And this defense is San Antonio, even without Wemby, has been great against opposing centers. So I would say Zach Edey goes under his points. I would stay away from any kind of rebounds, though, for sure. 551. JJ. Yeah, see, that didn't happen last game. So maybe JJJ takes over on the boards a little bit. I could see that. Again, they just played 2 weeks ago. So I never like to bet anything that happened in the last game. Best bets of the day. My favorite props of the night. Let's get to Royal Locks. 3 Royal Locks tonight. BJ Edgecombe over 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. He's getting a really good matchup tonight against Washington, who just is the worst defense in the NBA. Edgecombe's averaging 23 points, rebounds, and assists in 4 games without Kelly Oubre Jr. He's gone over PRA in all 3 games without Oubre Jr. and Joel Embiid. The Wizards, they allow the most points per game, the most rebounds per game, second most assists per game, and they are on the second leg of a back-to-back. So we're going BJ Edgecombe over 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. My favorite 3-point prop tonight, again, I'm going to Devin Vassell over 2.5 threes. He's the Spurs' leading 3-point shooter. He's cashed the over, 2.5 made threes in 6 of 10 home games this year. When Barnes and Fox went over in the last game on November 18th, I said we're going with the leading 3-point shooter of the Spurs, Devin Vassell, against the Memphis Grizzlies D, who their perimeter defense, 7th worst in the NBA. And lastly, Draymond Green, over 10.5 rebounds plus assists. At home, he's gone over this in all but 1 game. Jimmy Butler, and like you said in the chat, there's no Steph Curry tonight, but if Jimmy plays, then he's going to take on the more offensive role. Draymond can focus more on the defensive role, and he's going to have to dish the ball out to Jimmy, who's not going to be stealing any of his rebounds, and he's going to be the guy that the team has to rely on to put on points. So we're going Draymond Green over 10.5 rebounds plus assists. Did I not notice anything on Saddiq Bey? I could take a look at it real quick. Let me see. All games for tonight. I'll show you guys. Let's bring up the props.cash screen. Props.cash. So Saddiq Bey tonight, New Orleans Pelicans. And again, I think the thing was I was waiting to see any kind of update on the Pelicans against the Pelicans and Zion. So Zion's out tonight. Missy is still questionable. So with no Zion. So let's take a look at no Zion Williamson. Where is Zion? Saddiq Bey. Here. Without Zion. And that game tonight is at home. You can look at rebounds. 4 straight without Zion at home. Over 5.5 rebounds. Oh. A lot without Zion with the rebounds. PRA, not so much. PA, not so much. PR, not so much. Rebounds plus assists. I guess I would go rebounds for Saddiq Bey without Zion Williamson tonight. And Misty is like questionable, so that would be interesting. And then looking on the side here for, and I know that Queen's been great. Let's see. This season, if you consider Saddiq Bey a power forward, 50% went over, but 64% in the last 10. So I would say over rebounds would probably be the way I would go for Saddiq Bey tonight. Queen steals. Oh, PR, it's a new trend. Without Zion, it's all right. At home, it's okay, Saddiq Bey. Queen steals. We could look at steals. Let's look. Steals. We love Queen. We hit his over already this year when he had that crazy night. Where is it? Steals. Without Zion. At home. 4 of 7. Overall, not bad. Over half a steal, but it's minus 190. So you want to put that in like a prize picks lineup or something. So I guess you could look that way as well. Talking going forward has been 4 straight. So those are some of the things that stood out to you guys and to me. So my royal locks, though. So my royal locks of the day in the NBA. Edgecombe over 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists. Devin Vassell over threes. And Draymond Green over 10.5 rebounds plus assists. I have to figure out if I'm going to put all three in a Prize Picks lineup or I don't know. I have to figure it out. But I'm going to put a combination of that. I might do all three, and then if Edgecombe loses at the beginning, I'll take the other two and put them in a Prize Picks lineup later. Thanks, guys, for tuning in. As always, I will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow on the show, we're going to have Mr. Dreamy. Mr. Dream going to come on the show and talk NBA because we've got a big slate in the association on Wednesday. So tune in, 5 o'clock p.m. Eastern time here on the Prop Queen Pod. My mom said that I have to continue to talk about the YouTube page. So if everybody could go and subscribe to the YouTube page, that would be awesome. It's just at Prop Queen Media. So go to the YouTube page and subscribe because my mom says I don't post about it or talk about it enough. So do it for Iris because we are, hold on, I'll show you guys. We are so close. We are so close to 1,000 subscribers. Is my YouTube up? No, it's not. YouTube. We are so close. Like if I hit 1,000 subscribers by end of the year, then I'll be so happy. We're at 958. So if you guys could spread the word, you guys could always check the shows if you missed them here. You could catch some of my rants. You could catch any of the hot topics we talk about. You could watch any of the clips of any of your favorite guests that you want as well. I cut them all up in case you missed anything. So we are so close. And I have almost 2,500 people watching right now. And most of you are on X. So if you could go over to the YouTube and subscribe, that would be awesome for us to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. We have 1 month left. And then also remember the best deals that you could get through Prop Queen using props.cash. Props.cash, you get 50% off the first month if you use promo code PropQueen. Picket Sports. You get a lot of stuff for free, and the squad ride is so fun, the new feature. So definitely check that out. I'm actually going to be doing some how-tos on the YouTube page as well, showing you guys how you could use props.cash, Picket. So those are going to be really helpful to be able to use in case you don't know what features Picket come with, Picket Pro comes with, props.cash. Really easy to use. Literally, it's idiot-proof. So it helps with finding the best lines in the market and finding the best trends in the market as well. Good luck to all your bets tonight. I will see you guys tomorrow here on the Prop Queen Pod.